Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Have I got a video in store for you? I hope you're as excited as I am. If you're new here and this is the first time you are seeing my face, welcome. I make weekly videos dissecting internet nonsense, so if you're into that type of thing or you like today's video, I hope that you'll consider liking and subscribing. It really helps out the channel and make sure that you never miss another upload from me. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than what we typically see here on this channel because I was actually invited to do a collaboration video with Lydia from the Body Honesty Project. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Lydia.
Hi everyone, Sam. I'm so happy to be on your channel. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and we're happy to have you here. So if you guys didn't know, we're doing a collaboration where we'll have a video both here on my channel, which you're watching now, and then also a video over on Lydia's channel at the Body Honesty Project. So please make sure you check both out, but don't you dare click out of this video. You watch mine and then you watch Lydia's, okay? That's the deal. Deal? We're golden. So today, Lydia and I are actually going to talk about this fun thing that happens in the fat acceptance movement where they kind of generally define what a meal is, right? And it's actually interesting because Lydia's start to her channel was about how people tell themselves little white lies about how much food they're eating. And as we've seen with fat acceptance, sometimes it's a little bit more than a little white lie. So today we're going to look at a TikTok that will kind of lead us into that conversation. So let's take a look.
Yeah, no, I don't really do mud.
But you're a garden fairy.
Ironic, isn't it?
So I'm curious, what are your initial reactions to this TikTok?
Only eating one meal a day doesn't mean you don't eat all day.
Right.
You could be snacking and snacking and snacking, or maybe you don't. Maybe you actually only eat one meal a day, but that meal is 3,000 calories.
Right? Like there's so many options.
Yeah.
It has driven me crazy for so long, the way that they use the word meal. But like, I'm only eating once a day, or the way that they justify it, but still leave it so like purposefully vague to leave out the snacks, right? Or the high calorie drinks.
Yeah. Well, I remember watching a Trisha Paytas video where it's like what she eats in a day, and she didn't eat a meal all freaking day, but she had tons of calories.
Right.
It was like chips and guac one moment, and then candy the next, and like little bits and pieces everywhere. Like, but it all adds up. No, there was no meal. There was no meal to be had, but the total amount of calories, it was like 3,000 to 4,000.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it's absolutely
Coffee drinks,
insane.
Like
Yes. So the thing that I won't be able to show on the channel, and I don't know even if you got a chance to watch it when I sent it to you before the creator removed it, but
no,
there
I
was
got
a
it.
woman. Were you able to watch
No,
it?
when I clicked on it, it was gone.
Oh, I hate that so much. I was like, damn it, I didn't download it fast enough. So this person stitched this video and she's sitting with like, so I'm gonna use my tumbler, but she has like a big gulp, like soda cup with like dark liquid coming through the straw. Just like, that's so true. I only eat one meal a day. And I'm like, as you're sitting there drinking like 3 days calories worth of soda. Like, where is the disconnect?
Yeah.
It's
People
so,
don't understand the amount of calories, like, it and how much work it takes to burn it off. Like, if I go for a 5K run, my little body is burning like 250 calories. That's it.
I know.
Can of Coke, like that's it.
Yes, and that's the thing is like they'll do this weird thing, right? Where I'm not eating a whole meal, it really can't be that bad. And then you also have some of them who are like, but I was moving a lot. I was walking so much. And I used to think that because I worked in Chicago, right? So you walk most everywhere. And then I got my Fitbit and I was only really doing like 1,500 steps a day. 1,500. Like I was so immobile and I had no idea because I was like, oh, well, I get off the train and I walk to my job. And then sometimes from my office, I walk to campus. Like,
Yeah.
It
You
was
need another zero on the number of steps.
correct. It took a long time to build up to that, but like actually having the hard data in front of me of like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm actually not getting that much movement was kind of a catalyst of like something has to change, right?
Well,
so
the thing is, when you realize that your lifestyle can't do it, then you have to make time for it. So like, you know, when I was young and in university, I was running all over campus, right? So my lifestyle took care of it. I didn't have to think about it because it was a big campus and I had one class here, one class there, and like all day long. So sure, getting the steps in. But now my lifestyle doesn't give me that. So then I'm like, I got to make time to go for a walk. I got to take an hour. I need to take an hour to go and do it because I'm not going to just magically get them otherwise.
Yes. And I think that was the realization that I needed was like, oh, well, yeah, I'm walking from my train to my office, but that's really only a block. And if I don't get up from my desk all day or only to go to the lunchroom or the bathroom, like I'm really not, I'm not traipsing across the campus. I'm no longer doing like sporting activities or other things that keep me like super engaged. It takes me back to what you said about those little white lies. Like if you don't know the information, you don't have to act on it, which I think is what a lot of these people are kind of hoping to keep themselves in of like well, if I can't see it, it's not happening to me. And it's like, but it is happening to you.
Yes.
You just don't want to look at it. So I think a good example, even though I don't have the woman sucking down the big gulp, I do have this actual creator who's saying she only eats one meal a day. She actually posts what I eat in a day videos. And it's very clear she eats more than one meal a day. So let's take a look at that.
This is what a fat girl eats in a day, day 59. So I got up and I don't know why I felt so cute today, but I did. Anyways, I went and made a nice coffee. And I also had a banana. I love bananas so much. They're like my favourite fruit. Here's me just eating it. Anyways, after I had my banana, I decided to make some toasted waffles. These are absolutely tiny. Look at how cute they are. They're not even the size of my hand. Like, look at that. And they come in packs of 2. So I toasted 2 of them, like 2 waffles, not 2 packets. After I got ready and made some content, I just had some popcorn because it was close to dinner time and I didn't want to make a full-on lunch. There's me staring into thin air. And then later on, I went and made dinner. I'm not going to lie, I literally had a bowl of rice with soy sauce on it. And then I also munched on some picky bits that were in the fridge. I had a sweet potato falafel, these spinach and feta parcels, which are basically like samosas, and some garlic aioli. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's so good. Anyways, that's it. Come back for tomorrow. Love ya.
So what is the meal then? The rice? Was the rice and soy sauce the meal?
I guess. Like, that's what I'm saying. I watched this video and I was like, I am confusion. Like, what you ate a lot of food this day, but it's that definition of a meal, right?
Yeah.
So I guess you're right. Like her dinner of rice with soy sauce is what she was calling a meal.
Or was it the waffles?
Could have been.
The waffles covered in butter soaked in syrup. That's probably easily 600 calories. Easily, maybe more, because the amount of butter that we could see that wasn't like it wasn't even melted, right? It was all just still smeared on it. That's a lot of butter.
Right. And so you could see that there were multiple things going into this meal where it's like if you were actually like calculating that hard data in the form of calories and measuring your food, like you would have known like, oh, this is how many calories I ate today when I ate butter and syrup, which is straight sugar. That banana, what is in the iced coffee? Like maybe just milk. Is there milk and sugar? Like there are so many of those little things that we just tend to like leave out.
Like she could have been over 1,000. She could have been at 1,200 calories after breakfast, depending on what was in the coffee and how much syrup and how much butter were on those waffles.
Right. And that's the thing is like that cognitive dissonance of like, well, this thing doesn't really count because it's not a meal.
Yeah.
But we could see like how many calories are going into it because we both have experience like counting those
Yeah.
calories. And I will
Yeah.
tell you, I love a good like pancake or waffle with syrup, but holy cow, that will kill your calories so quickly.
And you'll be hungry later, like
Correct.
shortly later, after, whatever.
Yes. Well, and that's kind of what I noticed about like her whole eating style. And what's so interesting is it reminds me of the way
Barbie.
that I used to eat, like only eating rice with soy sauce. Like you're gonna be so hungry. There's no protein in that.
Mhm.
There are no fats there. Like what? That's not a meal.
No, it's just,
kind of like having another snack.
yep, just carbs upon carbs just make you hungrier and hungrier and hungrier. You'll never feel satisfied, and you just keep on piling on the calories.
Yes. Well, and then I don't know, did you notice she calls them picky bits when she eats like little things that you would maybe include on like a charcuterie board. So
Yeah.
those were also all really calorie dense, like
Mhm.
the garlic aioli, which is mostly mayonnaise, right? Samosas, and then did she say falafel? Like,
Yeah.
girl.
And they were all store-bought. They weren't homemade. So there's
Right.
like, how many calories are those things? I'm always appalled because like at home, well, sorry, maybe 10 years ago in my 30s when I had time, I would make appetizers and I would calculate the amount of like calories in the appetizers and they weren't that bad. And then you look at the store-bought one, like, what the hell is in this? Like why is this little tiny puff like 3 times the amount of calories as my appetizer that's like that?
Yes.
Like
mostly they probably fried it in something or put in preservatives, all of those things that keep food in the grocery stores, but like maybe aren't the best for you.
And that's what she was eating. So
right. And
those little picky bits could have, like 3 of those picky bits could have been over 1,000 calories easily.
right. Or I mean, and she could have maybe taken like a couple pieces of that with the rice. Like she could have easily like kind of worked some of those things together, maybe eaten a little less rice, a little of the like samosa things or falafel, and then added some protein. And like that would have been better for her, I think, than eating these things. And
yes, for sure.
I'm curious to know how you feel about this, but whenever they make these videos for TikTok that are the what I eat in a day, so like she had the bag of popcorn, right? Because it's TikTok, we only really see her eating like 2 or 3 pieces. But like, how much of that bag did you eat? Like, do you ever have questions like that?
Yeah, we don't know. She might have eaten the whole thing, and we don't know. I'm assuming it was regular, not light. I mean, a light big bag of popcorn doesn't really have that many calories in it, but I really doubt that that's what she was eating.
So when we see people doing these TikToks, these what I eat in a day, even when they do what I eat in a day YouTube videos, I think the biggest takeaway for me is exactly that. Like, we don't actually know what they're eating off camera.
Yeah.
No one will ever know that. And like, I could easily curate my social media to make it look like I don't eat that much food.
Yep.
And then smash a binge meal while nobody's looking.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that they think they're fooling people a little bit with that. But like,
it's funny that you mentioned that because I think of that too. But for me, I have a particular clip of Amberlynn Reid that runs in my head.
Oh.
Because there's this, I don't know why, because I don't even watch her. I don't watch Amberlynn. I watch other people's commentary on her, but not religiously. Just like whenever, like if I'm watching a Beast to Beast or something, like and it happens to be in the feed, yeah, I'll watch it,
Right.
But there was one that rings in my head so clearly because she was trying to do like I joined Jenny Craig or I joined whatever. I'm what I ate in a day, might have been Weight Watchers, and she's really good, right? All these meals, end of the day. And then it's like the next morning, she's like, yeah. And then after I stopped filming, I ate this and I ate this and I ate this.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, yeah, but she was truthful. The next day she actually said that. But it was like she recorded, but she did not record the other things. And then the next day she fessed up to it, right?
Well, at least she was a little brave to confess it. I'm the same way. I don't watch Amber religiously, but I've watched her enough to do some small videos on my channel. The reaction community is so robust that I'm like, I'll just be over here in my corner. You guys do what you do. But I agree, like, it's interesting that she would do that and not film it because that's part of her job. Right. But that's exactly what I mean. Like, she could have easily come online and not admitted to that the same way these other people do. But I think the thing that they forget is like your body is always going to tattle on you. Like we can tell when you're lying, the same way a doctor can tell when you're lying, the same way a personal trainer can tell when you're lying. Like,
Yeah.
You wouldn't be eating 1,200 calories of Jenny Craig and gaining weight. Like, there's absolutely no universe where that would happen.
Like those Doctor Now interviews. Like, I don't know why I'm losing weight. Like, you
He's
can't
always
lie to me.
concerned. I know.
Just gives them that look, like, you must
Right.
be eating.
Right, but it's like the call out. And then I think that it's so interesting because it kind of feeds into the rest of their rhetoric, right? Of like, well, I don't like going to doctors because they're fat phobic. And it's like, well, what makes them fat phobic, right? If you start to kind of dig into it, they would literally have to admit, well, the thing that makes him fat phobic is that they told me the truth and I didn't like it. Or they called me out and said that I'm eating more than I am, even though I lied about it. You know, like, it's just so interesting to me.
Mhm.
That
They're
sort of
phobic
dichotomy.
because they won't believe my bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that way when you were coming, like, you talked a little bit about those, like, the white lies that you tell yourself. Did you ever have those things where you were like, if someone calls me out, I'm gonna just deny or be angry?
Yeah, that's in my personality. The thing, like, I am guilty of a whole lot of weight loss gimmicks in my teens and 20s. And one of these days, I might actually do a video about all the shit that I have bought. And some of it's pretty freaking crazy. Like, I was a sucker. Like, because I would diet, I was always able to get down to the range where I wanted to be, but not to the goal. And then instead of owning up to, like, if I really wanted to get to that goal, I have to eat less, move more. But I would, at that point, I would make all the excuses up in the world for the last like 15 pounds. The thing is, I probably could have just accepted myself at that weight and that would have been fine. But instead of just accepting, hey, this is what I am, no, I would make all the excuses in the world as to why I could not lose the last 15 pounds. It was like, I was actually really, really good at that. So even though I wasn't part of like fat acceptance, the last 15 pounds, there was biological reasons why I couldn't do it.
And you see, part of my beef with the fat acceptance community as well is that they tend to target thin women. Like, you all haven't been through the same thing. Like, you all haven't survived toxic diet culture. Like, you haven't all tried 13 million diets. Like, we all have like sort of the same origin story, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I'm just like, I don't understand why we chose to target other women who maybe not fully understand what we're going through, but they do mostly understand, because we've all been told we have to fit this sort of like mold.
Well, one of the things like I really remember is because I was a figure skater, I was indoctrinated into that weight culture, diet culture, being as skinny as possible, very, very, very young. And I honestly believe that my experience with weight was so much worse than a lot of people that were larger. Like, if you watch my panel, one of my guests said that she was obese and didn't even know she was obese for the longest time. I was aware of my body size at age 5. At age 5, I knew I was 50 pounds and my friends were 40 to 45 pounds, and I felt fat then. So I have been aware of my body, and figure skaters are all skinny, or they were back then. Now they're a lot more muscular. It's much better. But back then, Oksana Bayul, that's what it was. Okay. So I was weighed and assessed all the time. I know a lot of fat children that didn't experience that when they were little, and then they had experiences later and they had problems. But I think that even though my channel was originally called My 25-Pound Yo-Yo, and I talk about the struggles of gaining and losing weight, and I've never really, really been obese, I still have struggled with my weight and body image immensely. And then you throw in the whole racism shit on top of that. Like, my self-esteem has been through the ringer. And that's the other reason why I can't stand it when they compare their fat phobia to racism, because as someone who has real childhood trauma that I'm still working through because of racism, don't tell me it's the same.
Right. Oh my gosh. I respect you so much, like, for saying that, and for talking about those things on your channel, because they're really really hard to dive into. But something that's particularly interesting to me as well, again, in like this sort of peer-to-peer nature with these fat activists, is like, okay, so when you think about the way that people talk about Black Lives Matters, right? It's we want white people to educate their white peers. Well, this for me is like trying to educate my fat peers. Again, like y'all are saying some crazy stuff. Like it's not even close to the same thing. How dare you, as fat white privileged women, come online and like say that your experience is the same as someone who experiences racism? Like that's just absolute insanity. All right, well, with all that said, we're nearing the end of this video. So Lydia, do you have any final thoughts?
Yes, I think it's important that when we look at what we eat in a day, it's all about calories in, calories out, not meals in, meals out. All food counts, whether you drink it, whether you eat it. If it has a calorie, it counts.
Absolutely. And I'll just cement that with, you can try to hide it from your social media, but your body will always tell on you. All right. Well, that's all we have for today. Lydia, tell us where we can find you on social media.
You can find me on YouTube at The Body Honesty Project, or you can find me on Instagram at Mom the Dances.
Awesome. All right. That is all that we had for you guys today. What did you think? Had you seen this video prior to our discussion? Have you heard other fat activists claiming to only eat one meal a day and somehow they're magically still fat? Have you seen this cognitive dissonance anywhere else where they're claiming they only eat one meal despite showing themselves snacking all day? You know I love to hear from you, so please leave your opinions in the comment section for me below. Thank you all so much for being here with me again this week. And thank you, Lydia, for inviting me to do this collaboration. It was so much fun. I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.